And happy Wednesday. I'm KHOU 11 meteorologist Pat Cavlin here with a look at your forecast, the tropical update that we do every night at 8 p.m. through the peak of hurricane season. And I'm happy to report there's not a lot going on out there. We have a couple of small spots on the map to look at, but nothing that's going to impact anybody. First and foremost, still tracking the movements of Tropical Storm Jerry, still a tropical storm, moving towards the Leeward Islands. We've also got a spot in the southern Gulf that's about to move over Mexico. That's not going to be an issue. And then a new spot up here that also has very, very low odds of developing. So that's pretty much all that we've got working for you on the map right now. We're going to start with Jerry first because, of course, that is the only named storm on the board. As of the 7 p.m. advisory, winds at 65 miles per hour. And this thing is moving pretty quick as well to the west-northwest at about 20 miles per hour. By tomorrow, this thing makes a close pass by the northern Leeward Islands. And then from there, takes a hard turn towards the north. And it will be on that northward track for about 24 to 36 hours before eventually turning out to sea to the north and east as a Category 1 hurricane. So this is going to be a big fish storm, just like a lot of the other storms before it have been so far. The feature that I mentioned in the Gulf, this is not going anywhere. It's already pretty much about to make landfall along the eastern coast of Mexico here. This is going to be a prolific rainmaker for central Mexico, but all of this moisture stays to the south as a cold front pushes into the Gulf states here across the northern Gulf. And so that's going to keep any rain from lifting up along the coastline and pushing into Texas, Louisiana, Florida, etc. So everyone in the U.S. will stay dry as that system moves through central Mexico. As we go through the month of October, our hotspot for development begins to shift towards the Caribbean, the eastern Gulf, and then the southeastern coast of the United States. So we go away from the Atlantic and more so a little closer to home. And the reason for that is twofold. One is just because the conditions in the Atlantic start to become a little more hostile. The other reason is because we see fall cold fronts become more common. And as that happens, the jet stream gets pulled a little farther south. Well, these fronts can act as focal points for storm development. And so very often here on the bottom of that trough that dips into the Gulf, you get these little spin-up systems that could happen off the southeast coast of the U.S., in the eastern Gulf, down towards the Caribbean. The catch, though, is that when the jet stream is that far south, it tends to take any systems that develop and it scoops them out to sea. And so U.S. landfalls and U.S. impacts from tropical systems really start to drop off as we go deeper into the month of October, and then especially as we get into November, and then eventually the season ends November 30th. So we really start to see a pretty fast winding down of what's going on in the tropics, and you can see that here on the graph. Our peak season is September 10th. From there, we see a pretty fast drop off in activity, climatologically or historically speaking. So here we are, October 8th. We are really starting to slide down that slope. By the time we get into November, we see that drop off even more. And for us here in Southeast Texas, once we start to get our first few cold fronts of the year, we pretty much turn things off in the tropics because systems aren't able to reach us with those cold fronts moving in. So as of tonight, we've still got Jerry in the Atlantic as a tropical storm, 2 other spots to watch that are not expected to develop, and that's it. So no threats to the United States. We will keep an eye on things. We'll keep watching things. We'll have an update on this and your local forecast as our first good fall front of the year comes through tomorrow. All of that coming up in the KHOU 11 News at 10 o'clock. Hope to see you there.